Hi everyone, welcome to week 7. Can you believe we're in week 7 already? So last week you were looking at assessments and activities, and you were going down to that class level of bringing your entire program from the big all the way down to the small, so you can see that you have alignment all the way up and down that spectrum. And this week you have a paper due, and that paper is going to take part of what you did previously and add that in. What you want to be looking at is for this paper, the first part of the paper is going to be your program learning goals and objectives. Now this is going to be the higher level things. These aren't going to be the learning goals and objectives for the classes themselves. You're going to need to create a learning goal and objective for the whole program that you're creating. Then you're going to list the assessment methods. Now this goes back down to the classes where how are you going to be assessing the results of these classes, and really these would be more of the summative assessments, not the formative, not the assessments that happen as you're going along, but the summative. In other words, if you were to look at this program, how would you be evaluating it? We also have student success surveys that we do in our program, or evaluations that you may have the people do in a training program at the end of the program. These are all things that go into program assessment at both the class level and then at the higher level. So how are you going to be doing that? What evidence are you going to be collecting? So, for example, we have key projects that you do. Those key projects are tied to a secondary rubric, and we can pull those and give those to our accreditors to show that students are learning at a certain level in this class. So we pull your artifacts from your classes and we can show them to us accreditors if they are coming in to look at us. So that's one way of collecting evidence. The assessment process, how does this work? Are you going to do it at the end of class? Or are you going to do an assessment at the beginning and the end? For the program, how is the program going to be assessed? So think about it from both of those levels. The table of your alignment is literally just like a table that shows the aligning of how things align from the program goals, objectives down into the class. Now you're not probably going to have a program goal and an objective for every single class, so they could be the same. The goal could be the same for all 3 of the classes that you're working on. The objective could be the same for all 3 classes, or it could be different for all 3 classes, depending. So you want to think of it at that level. You don't need a different goal for every class when you're looking at the program level of goals. You could have one though. Sometimes we have goals that are multiple goals. If you look at the CityU learning goals that you have for this class, that's the important thing, is like you can see the bigger picture from the CityU learning goals down to the program objectives and then down to the outcomes. So that's a model for you. And I noticed when I was going through your discussion boards and looking at your papers, a lot of people were having some real issue with the difference between what is a outcome, what is an objective. I recommended for some people to go back and watch the YouTube video. It was a really good video to kind of explain the difference between the different levels. We also have outcomes, objectives, and learning goals in this class, so you can look and see how those are written to kind of get a better idea. We also want to be sure to try to use Bloom's taxonomy to make sure whatever level our class is that we're matching that. So for example, Sean is doing a computer class for basic skills. He would be looking at Bloom's taxonomy about 1 or 2, remembering and understanding. But if you're designing a higher level class like Christina's motorcycle class, then you may be looking at evaluating, or a higher level applying would probably be what the level would be for those classes. So think about that from Bloom's perspective as well. The table though can be just cut and pasted into your paper, or in just a simple table in your paper. It doesn't have to be complicated. Make sure you have the section headings as I've designated here in bold. That's going to help me look through the paper and know that you've included everything you needed to include. For this next week, we're moving on to evaluation, and evaluation is that next level. And I do apologize that I didn't tell everybody that I was moving the discussion boards down. I did that so it's easier for you to see what is actually going on this week. They're just at the bottom of the screen. And I'll try to move, like I'm not going to move 6 down right away. I'll move it down in a couple of days once we're fully into 7. But now we're looking at evaluation theory, and when you're thinking about evaluation, you're thinking about what is the return on investment, what is the goals that we have that prove that this program is actually working. How is this program, how are we going to assess whether this program is meeting its goals? How are we going to assess whether this program is meeting its objectives or its outcomes? How are we assessing that in a bigger picture, not just individual classes, but the program overall? Is it accredited? Is it maintaining its accreditation? Are students successful? Are they getting jobs? In a training program, is the company benefiting from it? What's the return on investment from that? For a program in an educational setting, are students signing up for it? Is it something they want to do? Is the program being healthy or is it struggling? These are the things you want to know when you're doing a program level evaluation, and that's what we're going to be looking at for the next couple weeks. And it will come together in your final paper. So basically your final paper is a culmination of everything you've done so far. You're going to take it and you're going to listen to my feedback and make any changes you need to make. Going to pull that all together into one thing. You're going to turn the PowerPoints into a paper. But this is going to be a report, so it doesn't have to be double-spaced, New Times Roman. It can be any font you want. It can be any way you want to display the data. You can put a table in. You can put pictures in, whatever you want. But think about it as a report that you're going to be giving to your executives to tell them about this program that you want to do. And this report is basically, it's a program proposal, is what the final product is going to be in the class. So think towards that goal. And let me know if you have any questions. Happy rest of your week.